Hey everyone, and welcome back. We're diving into a topic today that's pretty complex but also really fascinating. Artificial intelligence in medical diagnostics. We've got a ton of research here, and we're going to try to break it down for you. So are you ready to jump in?
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing how AI is already impacting diagnostics, for everything from cancer to heart disease.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of AI, the research points to three main techniques being used in medical diagnostics: fuzzy logic, machine learning, and deep learning. Fuzzy logic always kind of intrigued me. It's all about handling those situations where medical data isn't always clear-cut.
Exactly. Think about early disease detection. Symptoms can be subtle, right? And test results, well, they might not be totally conclusive. So fuzzy logic, it uses degrees of truth instead of just rigid yes or no categories. It helps analyze those gray areas, where things aren't so simple.
So instead of just saying a patient definitely does or doesn't have something, fuzzy logic might say there's like a 70% chance based on the data.
Right, exactly. And we're seeing it used in some really cool ways. For example, there's research on how fuzzy logic is being used to help diagnose heart disease. It analyzes those subtle variations in heart rhythms that might be too hard for a human to catch easily.
Wow, so it's like having this extra set of eyes, or maybe even an extra brain, helping analyze all that complex data.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And it's not limited to just heart disease either. Fuzzy logic is being explored for diagnosing all sorts of conditions, from brain tumors to diabetes.
It seems like it's really good at dealing with uncertainty and subjectivity, which are pretty common in medicine.
Definitely. It's a great tool when you're dealing with those complex medical cases where the data might be incomplete or open to interpretation.
Okay, so that's fuzzy logic. Now, what about machine learning? It seems like it's everywhere these days. How is it being applied in medical diagnostics?
Well, machine learning is really good at finding those hidden patterns in massive amounts of data. And medical diagnostics is essentially a pattern recognition problem, isn't it? Doctors are always looking for patterns in symptoms, test results, medical images, all that to make a diagnosis. Machine learning can do the same, but on a much larger scale, and potentially with even more accuracy.
So instead of a doctor just looking at a few patient records, machine learning can analyze thousands, even millions of records, right? To find those patterns a human might miss.
Exactly. That's one of its biggest strengths, handling those huge data sets and uncovering those hidden correlations.
Can you give us a real-world example?
Sure. Let's take arthritis. Machine learning algorithms are being developed right now to analyze patterns in how joints move, a person's gait, even their posture to detect early signs of arthritis. These are subtle changes that might be tough for a person to spot consistently, but machine learning, it can analyze data from sensors and imaging studies to flag those potential problems.
That's amazing. It's like having a superpowered assistant who can just analyze all that complex movement data and point out issues.
Exactly. And this is just one example. We see machine learning being used to diagnose a whole range of things, from diabetes to some types of cancer.
So fuzzy logic's great with uncertainty. Machine learning's a pro at pattern recognition in big data sets. So then where does deep learning come in?
Deep learning is where things get even more interesting. It takes machine learning to a whole new level. Think about artificial neural networks, inspired by the human brain. These networks can analyze really complex data, like medical images and signals, with incredible accuracy.
So instead of just looking at simple data points, deep learning can actually analyze images, right, like X-rays or MRIs, and actually understand the patterns and anomalies within them.
You got it. For instance, there's been some very promising research using deep learning to analyze dermatology images, to detect skin cancer. And these deep learning algorithms, they've actually been shown to be as accurate and sometimes even more accurate than dermatologists in identifying melanoma, which is the most dangerous type of skin cancer.
Wow, so it's almost like having a superpowered dermatologist looking at every mole and every skin lesion.
That's the idea, and it goes way beyond just dermatology. Deep learning is being used to analyze retinal scans to detect diabetic retinopathy, mammograms to detect breast cancer, even just listening to heart sounds to find heart valve problems.
So deep learning is especially powerful when it comes to analyzing images and signals, which are super important in diagnostics, obviously.
Absolutely. And as the tech keeps evolving, we're going to see even more uses for deep learning in medical diagnostics.
It's incredible to think about how these AI techniques are already changing how we diagnose diseases,
Yeah, it really is. And it's not just about, diagnosing diseases that are already there. These AI techniques, they can also help predict which patients might be at higher risk of developing certain conditions down the line.
So we're talking about moving from reactive care to being more proactive, Like instead of waiting for someone to get sick, we can use AI to spot those potential risks and intervene earlier.
Exactly. Like imagine being able to look at a patient's genetic data, their lifestyle, their family history, and pinpoint who might be more likely to develop things like heart disease or diabetes. With that info, we can work with those patients, help them make lifestyle changes, keep a closer eye on them, and maybe even prevent those diseases from developing in the first place.
Wow, that's a game changer. It's like having a personalized crystal ball for someone's future health. But, we've talked a lot about the tech side of all this. What about the human element? How's AI impacting the relationship between doctors and patients?
That's a great question, and one that a lot of people are looking into right now. Actually, some experts think that AI could even strengthen the doctor-patient relationship.
Really? How so? It seems like, relying on machines could make things feel less personal.
Well, think of it this way. Right now, doctors spend so much time on administrative stuff, data entry, reviewing tests, all those things that AI could potentially take over. This frees up their time so they can actually spend more of it with their patients, really listening to their concerns, explaining things clearly, and just providing that human touch that's so important in healthcare.
So instead of being stuck on the computer all day, doctors can actually be more present with their patients and have those meaningful conversations.
Exactly. And it's not just about FaceTime either. AI can also help doctors make better decisions, which leads to more accurate diagnoses and treatment plans.
Right. I could definitely see how having all that data analysis at their fingertips could be super helpful for doctors. But I also wonder about the downsides. Could relying too much on AI actually make doctors less skilled? What if they become so dependent on the tech that they lose some of their own critical thinking abilities?
That's a valid concern for sure, and it's something a lot of medical professionals are talking about right now. It's crucial that we see AI as a tool to help human expertise, not to replace it entirely. Doctors still need to be trained to think critically, to question the AI's output, and use their own judgment along with the technology.
So it's about finding a balance, right? Using AI to make human capabilities better, not to make them disappear.
Exactly. Collaboration, not replacement.
Okay, so AI can help predict those future health risks, it can give doctors more time to connect with patients, and it can provide valuable insights to help with diagnosis and treatment. Are there any other difficult benefits we should know about?
Definitely. One area where AI is making a big difference is personalized medicine.
Oh yeah, I've heard that term, but I'm not really sure what it means. Can you explain it?
Sure. Personalized medicine is all about tailoring treatments to each individual patient. It recognizes that we're all different and that a one-size-fits-all approach to medicine isn't always going to work,
So instead of giving everyone with the same condition the same treatment, we use AI to look at a person's unique characteristics and figure out the best approach for them specifically.
Exactly. AI can analyze things like their genetic data, lifestyle factors, medical history, even how they responded to treatments in the past. All this helps determine which therapies are most likely to be effective and which ones might cause bad reactions.
It's like having a treatment plan designed just for you.
Yeah, great way to put it. And the potential benefits are huge, more effective treatments, fewer side effects, and ultimately better outcomes for everyone.
It all sounds really promising, but I know there are also some concerns and challenges when it comes to AI in healthcare. We've touched on a few already, like de-skilling and the need to protect patient privacy. Are there any other big concerns?
Yeah, for sure. One of the biggest challenges is making sure that the AI algorithms are fair and unbiased. You see these algorithms, they're trained on data. So if that data has those existing biases that we see in healthcare, then those biases will be built into how the AI makes decisions.
So like if a certain group of people is underrepresented in the data used to train the AI, then the AI might not be as accurate when it's used on people from that group, right?
Precisely. It's a really critical issue that researchers and developers are working hard to address. It's essential to make sure that AI in healthcare is equitable and benefits everyone, not just a select few.
So it's not just about developing the technology, it's also about using it responsibly and ethically.
Absolutely. We have to be mindful of how AI could impact healthcare and make sure it's used to genuinely improve the lives of all patients.
It seems like we've covered a lot here. We've explored the different AI techniques used in diagnostics, talked about the clinical benefits and challenges, and even touched on some of those ethical considerations. So what stands out to you as the most important takeaway from all of this?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that AI, it has huge potential to change medical diagnostics, but it's not like a cure-all, It's a really powerful tool, and we need to use it carefully, ethically, and always alongside human expertise.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's easy to get caught up in the hype of new technology, but Healthcare is really about people, not just algorithms.
Exactly. And as we start using AI more and more in healthcare, we need to think about how it affects the human side of things, the doctor-patient relationship and just the bigger societal implications.
Speaking of those societal implications, one thing I've been thinking about is, well, responsibility. Like if an AI system makes a mistake with a diagnosis, who's to blame? Is it the doctor who used the AI's recommendation or the company that made the algorithm?
That's a tough question, really complex, and there isn't an easy answer. I mean, we're still figuring out the legal and ethical stuff for AI in healthcare, but it's definitely something we need to talk about now as the technology keeps advancing.
I agree. We need clear rules and regulations to make sure AI is being used safely and responsibly. And another question that comes up is, how do we make sure that everyone has access to AI in healthcare?
That's a really important point. We got to make sure these AI tools aren't just for people who can afford them or who live in certain areas, Equity and access, those have to be top priorities.
Absolutely. We don't want a healthcare system where only the wealthy can get the best technology.
Right, and that brings us back to how important the human element is in all this. Even with the most amazing AI, we still need skilled doctors and nurses who can understand the data, talk to patients clearly, and provide that compassionate care.
So we're really talking about a future where AI and human expertise work together, each one supporting the other's strengths.
Exactly. AI can handle those huge amounts of data, those patterns, but humans, we bring the things machines can't. Empathy, intuition, that art of healing.
It's a pretty powerful combo. Well, everyone, we've covered a lot of ground today. We've explored how AI is being used in medical diagnostics, talked about the pros and cons, and even touched on some of those bigger societal questions.
Yeah, it's a field that's constantly changing, and it's clear that AI is going to play a bigger and bigger role in shaping the future of healthcare.
And as we move forward, we have to keep asking those tough questions, keep talking about these things, and work together to make sure AI is used to benefit everyone.
I agree. It's an exciting time to be in this field, and I'm really optimistic that we can use AI to create a healthcare system that's more accurate, efficient, and fair for everyone.
Well said. And to all of you listening, keep exploring this topic. It's fascinating. The future of healthcare is being shaped right now, and it's up to all of us to make it work for everyone. So until next time, stay curious and keep diving deep.